Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Chasing Dallas. This is season 6, episode 7, Cupid Clash, and it was a clash. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video, and also you can subscribe to my channel. Leave your comments below, and you can share the video with your friends, loved ones, even your haters. Give it to them. Anyways, let's get into this episode. Okay, so we start where we left off, and we see Rachel is trying to tag Donnie, but Donnie is in a car trying to leave, and she going through the sunroof trying to see if she can tag him and get him a fade, and it didn't happen. Donnie's dad stayed around and kind of was talking with the cast. Some of them were kind of popping off at him and telling how they felt about the whole situation. And one, he says that I'm a sticker for my son. I'm always going to do that, da 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 da. And I'm not going to just sit there and not do nothing when there's several people right after him. You know, he said that he's talked to him. He talked to him about all this stuff that he's doing, and he also talked to him about the slur that he made, or derogatory slur that he made. Rachel was just still heated, but somebody else, Robert Ray, talked to him a little bit more. Like, look, you know, there are some people that feel away, and the dad said, I understand, and all that good stuff. Both sides kind of just let things go. Zesty walked away because he said, look, one thing I am is respectful to parents, and it's just between me and Donnie. And if Donnie wants to humble himself, well, he did say bow down his knee, but I think it was just his way of saying humble himself in regards to this. We can squash this and go ahead, or move it forward, or whatever, you know. So the gang, did they at this point go back inside? I think they moved back inside. Rachel announces that her and Jeff will be hosting a Valentine's Day event. Donnie will not be invited. And I think it was a question of if Mother is invited, and they said, yeah, Mother is invited. So then Jeff brings up that he knows Mother's real name. He reverse phoned thing where you do online or wherever, and you can find out a person's name or whatever, and found out that Mother's name is Lester. There was some drama online between Mother and Jet. I really don't understand it. I guess we get clarity a little bit later, but it looks like it's not the same energy. Like, one minute they say something, and then in another type of circumstance, there's something else going on. That gets them to not really like each other and to trust each other. Jet feels that Mother is mad that Jet is getting attention. But then this is the one thing I want you to stop doing, Jet. The age shaming and the age reads, they're old because you say the same thing anyways. And it's just like, who cares? He got casted on the show, and that's just that. Regardless of age. And at this point, it don't need to be a bunch of 20-year-olds on here. Some of y'all like to get rah-rah. You don't. And a lot of y'all are protected, but y'all, if something really goes down, not any of you can really pull off anyone. Not saying that Mother's gonna get involved like that, because I think she's gonna stand to the side, or he gonna stand to the side, you know. But it's just, we need some people with some type of wisdom, and at least, even if it's like a decade, or at least in a different age bracket, they can give some type of wisdom as to, hey, let's handle it this way instead of that way, you know. Yeah, the age reads aren't landed for me at this point. Probably the first time you said it, okay, cool, but it's just like, whatever. Ted Lee arrives, and he sees that the thing is over with, and he's like, what? So they tell him what happened, and he was down within 1 round. Donnie was. Jet and Ted Lee. Jet gets into it with Ted Lee, you know, basically saying, you see how he is, Donnie? That's why I was talking about this loyalty that you didn't really have for me, blah, 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 blah. And Ted Lee's like, look, I didn't have no problem with Donnie before this whole situation. When I really understood what was said and what was going on, even though you were sitting right there, Ted Lee. I don't understand that. I did speak to him, and I said that it was wrong. I will say, Jet, with how you're talking about this loyalty, it seems like you want to ice Donnie out. Do I understand why you would feel a certain way in regards to doing that? Yeah. I mean, he came on the show on the back of you, used you to get a contract, used you to submit himself, and even having that his first scene being quite a highlight for the episode and for the season, he did use you through and through. You know, I do think that Donnie's talented, and I don't think that he pushed that forward at first. He wanted to get this drama started, thinking that this is his way onto the show. I mean, it's called Chasing Dallas, and I think that your gift should be more on display than your drama. Drama is cool for a TV show. Cool, I get it. I think because of your past history and how you just really didn't want to deal with him, it can really look like this loyalty that you're speaking of is to ice Donnie out. I'll put that out there. I'm just calling it like I think it is. That's what I'll say. But Ted Lee says, you want this loyalty, but you've done a lot of things in the past to me and have not shown support as far as talking behind my back and doing shady stuff. Jet's denying that or whatever. I didn't watch the other seasons as of yet. I probably will soon. From what I always thought, that first scene on the first episode, they were supposed to be kind of calling a truce. Olive branches were given out, and we were supposed to look out for each other. It seemed like it didn't work out that way. However, I do feel like Ted Lee tried to be neutral in that whole situation. Loyalty, I don't know if it was required at that point, Jet, if I'm being honest. You're saying that you needed Ted Lee to tell you what was going on with that meeting that you had with Zesty and Glenn and with Mother. I think it was good to just give a heads up, like, this is what's going on. I mean, Mother came back and said it. Maybe Mother was on assignment to do it. I don't know. I don't 100% blame Teddy, but at the same time, he could have let you know what was going on. But I think Ted Lee wants to stay out of it and let y'all work out your differences, because what he said to Donnie, go to him. You're telling us all of this, no, go to him. And also because the timelines and all that don't even make sense, and the beef don't even make sense. So talk to him. So in that regard, he didn't try to even say, oh, you're right in this situation. He didn't. So I'll give you that, Ted Lee. I think there's been other people like that Sean dude that has been inserting himself in certain and stirring the pot to make some drama, unnecessary drama between other people that it just didn't need to happen. But then some of y'all are quite too gullible for this dude that we haven't seen him in several episodes. I'm going to call him a guest. I'm not even going to call him a friend. Just saying. Mother does this drag show. She does say that it's been 2 years that she's been doing this, but it's more just for laughs and giggles. It's nothing like on a regular basis, but she was booked and got paid, and that's just that on that. I think she got paid, but she at least got booked. But I don't think that Mother would have just got booked and did not get any money. I don't think she would have done it for that, you know? So she starts talking to her friend. I think it starts with a D. Donald? I think it is. Whatever. And he was asking, you know, how did you like doing this drag or whatnot? She just says that I only want to be booked 3 to 6 months. That means from this date, in 3 months, I'll consider doing something. I'm not going to do something every week or whatever. It just looks like, and this is respectfully, Mother, all you got to do is just train your body. It looks like you need to work out, and it don't even have to be much. It may just be just getting on the treadmill. And I'm not calling you overweight or anything. I'm just saying that as far as your durality, just get in the gym. And just, this is a way to expand your breathing, get your muscles moving and all that, so you could be phenomenal as a drag. Jet, he is going to get his lips filled. He already actively has it, but he says every year he goes to get a touch-up on that. The doctor is talking about that it's called hyaluronic acid. I think that's one of the chemicals that is used to fill the lips or whatnot. You really don't have to get your lips filled. However, there is maintenance that has to be done. I think this was another 3 to 6 months and all that good stuff. So we see him go through the procedure. He's awake, which I probably would want to be out. But you see the tears. He says it's painful, but he says, you know, beauty is pain, Even in working out after the procedure was done, the doctor said give it about 2 to 3 days. I thought that was interesting. It was cool to at least learn what actually happens and what it takes to actually get these type of procedures. Hey, so Donnie goes on a date with his boyfriend Bradley, Bradlee. I never heard it spelled like that. So they go on a horse and carriage. I thought that was cool. But the one thing that was weird at the end is that they didn't know where they were going. They were saying, I hope they're going to take us to a restaurant or something so we can get something to eat. So y'all didn't. So it seems like y'all didn't schedule this or pay for this horse ride. That's all I gotta say. Now, I don't know. Anyways, they've been dating for 3 months. Bradley has some issues with Donnie being on the show, and I think Donnie's priorities is not including Brad up front, like as a first priority, and the show is taking a lot of time. But Donnie was like, "Oh well." Like, he's gonna have to get with the program. And plus, your relationship is new, 3 months, and you're chasing your dreams. And Donnie, as much as people want to be with someone, don't lose yourself in a man when you are at the cusp of getting your dreams met or making them come true. So, hey, if that's a problem, but Brad also expresses other things that he has problems with as far as him being on the show. It's the drama. Dude's not into the drama. Dude is not into the drama. And I think you should really think about that part, Donnie, if anything. I'm not telling you to get off the show. And what the drama is that you're always getting into some type of altercation. And a lot of people don't respect that. They talk about the fight and all that. You know, he says, I hope that this is the end of everything. I'm over it and I just want to move forward. But I'm hearing that some people still have not forgiven and let it go and all that stuff. And Bradley was like, well, you really need to apologize. And Donnie was like, I'm willing to apologize if Zesty apologizes for what he said. And Bradley's like, no, you need to, there's stipulations on if you even want to apologize, and we're not doing that. Or at least, that's not how you should do it. Let me say it that way. No, you said this, it was derogatory, and people were offended by that. And of course, he goes into, he thought that what he was saying was just a dig to go a little bit lower than the dude. Basically, he was jonesing, and then he went for the juggler that was very offensive to other people. Well, anyways, Bradley says you got to be sincere with it. Then he starts talking about having 4 to 5 drinks. No. Donnie, no. You're coming up with excuses as to what you did. You say you're not racist. Cool. You can still be a bigot. Or just very influenced by your environment. So let's stop it. You discriminated against a people, against a race, against a culture. So, But he says he's going to schedule a sit down with the ones that he knows that he is offended, and hopefully we can squash this, and I will apologize. Cool. Okay. Right. I love this scene. This is probably my favorite non-drama scene of the night. Rachel, Mother, and Glenn, Jayla also, they meet up, and they just go out for some time to just keep. They talk about this whole Donnie and Zesty fight. I think Mother had left earlier or whatever, or wasn't, or did not come. I don't remember. They talk about Donnie's dad and all that good stuff, and then we switch the conversation over to how's everyone's business going. Glenn says that he went back home to the St. Louis area and went to a town hall meeting or whatever to present this, to make sure that this is approved by the city and all that to have happen and all that good stuff. Right now, everything is like self-funding because they were looking at like, are you going to get any funds? They were talking about, Trump has been dropping all of these non-for-profit organizations getting funds and all that good stuff. He says, we're looking for sponsors and all that. We just know right now that we got to do it this way, and we're just keeping the dream alive. Yeah, so Rachel's line is going to be lip gloss, eyelashes, lipstick, lip liner, all that good stuff. She's just starting off with lip gloss, but her dream is to be at the level of Fenty within a year. If that's a dream, I'm not going to knock it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, and I pray that it happens for you, because I'm not going to get into this phase of Rihanna's here and you're down here. If that's your goal, get to it. Get to work. That's all I got to say. She was talking about her friends, like when they support each other, they're paying full price. Like, no, we're not getting discounts and all that. I'm so glad that mentality is dying. Come on, let's stop it. Let's stop it with all these favors all the time. With friends, the friends that don't have the intent of really supporting, and then they want a discount. Whatever. Glenn talks about back in the day he used to wear makeup when he was extra gay. Mother was like, extra gay? What is that? I don't know what that is. I do feel like, and this is not against you, Glenn, specifically, I think that there are a lot within the community that think you're just gay if you're masculine. And then the further you go as to being authentically you, if you're more feminine, then you're just gay. And all of that really comes from the straights, the heterosexuals, that have really just deemed that we are lesser and think that we're girls and all that stuff, all because we're attracted to men or to the same sex. I'll say it that way. And for some reason, y'all bring that over to this culture, and I don't get it. y'all bringing over homophobic. Well, I won't say homophobic. I'll say what's the word I want to use? I can't even think of it. It's what we use for, it's not really racism, but it is. What is it? It's when you show discrimination, even within your own community. I'll just say it that way. Yeah, the whole extra gay thing, I don't understand it. Again, that's not against you, Glenn. I'm not coming at you. I just see it a lot within the community. Mother's coming with her skirt line, and what she says that what would be unique about his line is it will be directly thrifty. He sees a pattern within a thrift store and decides that is cute for the skirt, and they're going to do it that way. Cool. They start talking about this whole Donnie situation, saying a racist slur. Some of the people there, they're over it. Honestly, I don't understand why anybody can tell people how they're supposed to feel. And I gotta just pull on their coattails. He says, what are we gonna do about this? Are we gonna have a teachable moment or just keep this going for whatever reason? Mother says, we're sitting up here acting like it's all them needing to get over it. It's really Jet pulling the strings. I don't think that. And I'll probably get into it a little bit later in regards to that. But I mean, these are cast members and they got to still prove themselves on the show. And just being Def Jet's Blackies is not going to make them be axed back or to continue on with the series. So I can't fully get into that. Y'all, Mother Nature, leave me alone. Okay, so Rio and Zesty, they meet up. They're planning this March event where they're going to mash up and they're going to be showcasing both of their businesses. Zesty's bartending, and of course they're going to be showing all of I'm so sorry, y'all. Get off of me. Okay, so Rio and Zesty, they are going to be hosting an event in March. They're going to be showcasing their businesses, Zesty's bartending, and then all of what Rio comes with as far of his bottle girls, exotic dancers, and all that good stuff. They talked about how they got it out the mud. Both of them, there's a lot of things that were started up even with Rio before even coming to Dallas, so he's quite established in the business world. And I felt that way when even he was having his administrative meeting, as like what I like to call it, with the Dallas a couple of episodes ago, probably like episode 3 or so. Then of course Zesty has to still make another crack towards Donnie, calling him a crackhead. Leave the crackheads in the alley. I said, Lord. Kelly and Chloe, they catch up for a few minutes, and we find out that Chloe has made some logos for Kelly and also Rachel. They look pretty cool. I think I like Rachel's better though, and I think that you're really talented and all that good stuff. I just preferred Rachel's over Kelly's. Kelly's isn't bad or anything. I just like that one. They were talking about going to this Valentine's Day thing. Kelly was like, were you invited? Like, yeah, I was invited. What do you know? Blah, 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 blah. Because this is the whole Rachel thing. I think kind of low-key Kelly be trying to keep the mess started between Rachel and Chloe. I think. It just sounds like it. I'm not saying that totally. It's just how things are going on in conversation. It just could sound like that. And of course, I love you, Kelly, so it just seemed like it. But whatever. All right, so we're at the Valentine's Day event. Rio is catering. Lamont shows up, but he does not bring his girl. He says that he didn't know that he was able to bring his girl, and also everyone was getting on him, according to him, about always bringing his girl around. So he didn't bring her. That's suspect to me. That is suspect to me. I'm just saying that much, because that don't make no sense. And then for a Valentine's Day thing, why wouldn't you be bringing your mate? I'm just saying, or at least ask to bring them. See if they could be a +1. That doesn't make sense. And I don't know, maybe they have been getting sick of that girl coming around. I don't know what the girl does. I have not heard her say one word on this show, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna table that. I'll table it and see what comes up in the future episodes. Jet, he talks about his career. I think he's on the top 10 of iTunes. And his new man is there. They give each other a kiss. Ted Lee wants to ask some relationship questions. And he makes this kind of shade about hopefully it lasts. And then in the confessional, Jet was like, well, I think it's going to last more than the marriage. Or he said, hopefully it does last longer than the marriages. He said marriages with an S. Do I really need to get into the whole seasons? Because what? So Ted Lee, you was married? Interesting. But some of y'all be saying stuff in the confessionals and don't be saying stuff to their faces. I'm like, how can you say that there? But possibly you just wanted to make it a good moment and all that. I don't know. Zesty arrives. He says he's the bartender, but he did not get paid to do it. He was annoyed in his confessionals about it. And then they were thinking, oh, Mother wasn't showing up. And they said, no, she was invited, and then Mother came. Mother said that, look, y'all be late all the time, and I wasn't going to show up on time. Simple as that. Y'all get to do it all the time, and I'm just not doing it. So anyways, there's this basically mother off. Oh, and all it just reminded me of The 5 Heartbeats, which is one of my top 5 favorite movies, hands down, The 5 Heartbeats. So remember Eddie Kane? And what was his name? Flash. He was a new member that was going on for Eddie when he couldn't get himself together. And then basically he was replaced by Flash. And then Flash ended up turning on the group and going solo and all that good stuff. But yeah. Anyways, there's a scene about where Eddie is talking to Flash saying, you want to be me. You want my spot. Well, you ain't gonna get it. So I'm pay. Look, and that's all I was thinking about when they was going through this thing. They talked about the online thing. It looks like when they were live, I guess possibly on Instagram, everything was cool. And then Jet got into the comments and started talking ish. Jet says that he always retaliates. So I guess possibly you said something on the live, Mother. I don't know. That made Jet start talking ish. Because that don't make no sense. If y'all just on camera and y'all were good together and you were seeing each other like a week before and y'all were good, like what's going on there? But it's two people that are being fake and phony to each other. And I gotta call it like I see it. They just fake and phony. And of course, things are always gonna seep out and they're always gonna be in this beef type of situation. Of course, they talk about the whole Lester situation. His name. That's his name. I think I see Mother's side on this whole situation. I did see and still see where Kelly was coming from. But he said, well, you want to be called Jet Jeff. Why can't you respect my name? And I totally get it. Now, it would have been cool if you said, hey, I'm Lester, but I go by Mother. Something like that, you know? In my opinion. That's how I would probably do it too. And I know it's kind of like you're making other people comfortable while making yourself uncomfortable in a way. But it's just like, it's a way to let people in a way. And maybe this is just a mother's way of keeping up guard. And she only just lets people that are close to her know that he is Lester. Of course, there's a part where it looks like they're in competition. And Jet was like, I guess you just really want my spot. And you're just mad that I'm still here. And Mother said, I am. And look, we're here and we're taking over. And if this is not a Nene and Kenya thing, I don't know what is. LOL. So now we move on to this drinking game. Lamone is kind of directing this, and they're doing. He says that this is called "Throw That Ass, Friend." But then there was a part where Ted Lee had to do push-ups. Ted Lee says that it was getting quite provocative. Kelly was doing body shots on her man. She said, I'm okay with doing body shots, probably not in front of all of them. Then they move on to a segment of stating what they love about themselves and say something about about one person in the room, and I guess it's the person that you least like. Let's see. Layla talks about herself and then talks about Ted Lee. I didn't know that was the least person, probably because they haven't gotten to know each other. Jet tells Mother, I love that you are color coordinated. I said, Lord. And Mother was in her confessional like, that's all you have to say? Jet, you could have really expanded your mind in regards to that. That was not cool. What was I going to say? Who's next? Mother said something about Zesty, but I don't remember what it was. I think it was about, you have a nice, the lip balm stuff. And Zesty said, look, I want to speak on something. Like, I'm trying to understand why you like me the least. I gave you a gift. I gave you a gift, right? I gave you and Teddy Lee gifts and didn't give the others. So we've never been into it or anything, and I'm not understanding where this is coming from, blah, 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 blah. They got into him being rah-rah, and he says it's always been in retaliation, though. It's not something that's just so, like I just come in trying to start stuff, even though you do start stuff with Glenn, if I am true about the whole situation. Anyways, they really don't have no issues and all that good stuff. So they get up and hug each other, and then they're in their confessional shading one another, saying they don't trust each other and all that. I said, Lord, y'all are too funny. Because y'all will do something in front of each other and then say something behind each other's backs. I said, Lord. So this reunion is going to be very interesting. I'll say that much. Zesty says to Ted Lee that he had the wrong impression about Ted Lee. He was upset because I guess they were at some function and he was a bartender and he sent a drink back. Ted Lee in this confessional said it was nasty, so I'm sending it back. But anyways, he now knows that Ted Lee's a dope dude, and he apologized about that. Rachel and Chloe said, we had our thing beforehand, but we good now, Zesty says, I got something I gotta get off my chest. It's been suggested, or they're giving subliminals about Zesty is the one that's not wanting to move on and make up with Crackhead, aka Donnie. Y'all are saying that, but he said something racist towards us, and I cannot forgive that. I forgot if it was. I think it was Rachel. They said, "Well, you may not be able to forgive. Can you at least be able to move on?" And then Jayla interrupts and just says, "You know what? This is so old, and you just got to know. What about a teachable moment?" And that's where I'm going to pause, because this is the thing. Y'all saying all of this is old. The black people are saying it's old. And I feel like because it doesn't deal with you and your race, you could give 2 inch about it. And I'm trying to be YouTube friendly here. And I don't think that that's cool. And then you go on this whole Michelle Obama hype about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words do hurt, Jayla. Words can hurt worse than a physical weapon. I'll just say more predominantly, words are hurting more than physical weapons. And I think it's quite crazy that y'all want to basically dismiss that another race has been offended. It's kind of like how it's coming across is like, well, y'all ain't black, y'all don't know what's really going on with discrimination. Acting like no other race can be discriminated against. It's quite crazy. And I just don't think that that's fair. And I don't think that's right. Because what I can tell you, if somebody was discriminating against black people, y'all would have moved heaven and hell to get Donnie off that show, or someone like Donnie that said something about race in a derogatory way. Y'all would have. I know it. I know y'all wouldn't film with them, and it just seems like Donnie's getting all this grace and he's still not getting it, if you want to call it that. But he's not apologizing. He doubles down. He apologizes, but then doubles down on it. So y'all saying that it's a teachable moment for him. Why haven't y'all, who are more on Donnie's side about this whole situation, teach him? That makes no sense. I love you, Jayla, but at the same time, no, y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. But we get so outraged when stuff happens to us. Y'all are wrong for that. And I'm not coming down off of this. Let's see what else. Rio. Rio says, I liked you on Rookies, but on here you are boring. And all I gotta say is, Rio, you did not lie. Like, Glenn, we do want to step it up. And then at this point, Glenn was like, look, just because I don't get loud, that means I'm not interested. I don't think you have to. I think that you really, I don't know. First, I've never watched Rookies, never heard of it. I'm going to see where I can find it and I'll watch it. I don't know if you just chose to take the back seat or what, but you don't. Now, the little session that you, Mother, Layla, or Jayla, I think I said, yeah, Jayla, and Rachel had, that was pretty cool. But you really sit on mute a lot of times. Am I not interesting because I don't insert myself in the drama? I don't think you have to insert yourself in the drama. I just don't think that you make yourself known on the show. And I think it's very important that you do. So they start getting into it. Rachel gets up on the table trying to stop it or whatever. Jet is holding back Zesty. Nothing was going to happen. Ted Lee is trying to hold back Glenn and all that. Nothing really happened. Jayla basically makes her dramatic exit. I'm going. Hugs everybody, even hugs Zesty. I'm going. Bye. Because she don't do that, basically. Then it ends and Rio was ready to leave. He talks about the whole bartending thing, but somehow Rachel was offended by that and they was about to get into it. I really don't understand that part. If y'all can help me to understand what was going on. I know that Rio was pissed that he didn't get paid, but she just said, I just had 2 drinks. What does that mean? So you saying that he didn't really do his job as far as bartending or whatever? Because Zesty was thrown off that you was even upset with him, but whatever. I don't know what that is. Maybe we'll deal with that in the next episode. We shall see. But that's all I do have. Sorry for Mother Nature getting on my nerves while I'm trying to record this. Please tell me your thoughts on what you thought of this episode. That's just, Donnie can't get away with this. That's all I can say. I'm not saying get him off the show. He is entertaining. And if you think there needs to be a teachable moment so that he can get a pass to be welcomed back, then y'all do it then. Because I just don't feel like y'all give an F about what another race is going through or what they have felt. That's how I feel. That's all I do have. Y'all let me know. Again, until next episode, like this video, please. But until the next video, peace.